Okay, so today I thought it would be a fun idea if we rank each individual level in LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. We will only be doing the 36 main storyline levels, so no bounty hunter missions, no bonus levels, or no arcade levels, just the main ones you play in the game for each of these 6 movies, starting with number 36 all the way to number 1. That being said, let's get into it. So in D tier are levels that current me find very annoying, and also levels that 10-year-old me find very annoying. These are levels that I would not go back and willingly replay if I had the choice. So starting off this list in a way that will surprise absolutely nobody, number 36 is episode 2, chapter 5, Gunship Cavalry. Horrible level. This one is not fun at all. I'm sure if you've played the Complete Saga, you will know that. The entire level revolves around these towing of bombs, and the bomb towing mechanics are incredibly clunky. The bombs never seem to go where you want them to go. If they hit anything whilst being transported, they will explode, and you have to go back and pick up another one and tow it around. The ending section of the level revolves entirely around this mechanic. There's one of the droid command ships, and your goal is to prevent it from going into space. To accomplish this, you need to use the towing mechanic to destroy some generators that have shields over them. You need to do this a total of 4 times, which can get quite repetitive fairly quickly. All in all, the Gunship Cavalry is just a very annoying level. Now this next one might come as a little bit of a shock to some of you, however I'm going to put episode 4, chapter 2, through the Jedland Wastes, and number 35 on this list. This is an insanely long level. I believe in my LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga playthrough, this took me around half an hour, 35 minutes, which that was including editing, so horrible level this one. It's very long and extremely boring. You just play as Obi-Wan and Luke, and you go through the Jedland Wastes. You then go into a sound crawler. You then go outside of a sand crawler. You then have to do some puzzles where you have to make the quicksand dry up, and then you end the level. And that is quite literally it. There's also a massive bug, where there is a level reset door, just in the middle of the top of the sand crawler, where if you go through it, it will reset your character to the start of the level. Which, I mean, just, yeah, why is this still here? Episode 1, chapter 4 is the pod racing level. Horrible level. I'm sure a lot of us who played the game when we were younger can relate to the annoyances of this level, the frustrations. The overall objective is incredibly clear, but at the same time it's not clear. You have to overtake Sebulba, which you can only actually do in the final lap. The game won't let you overtake him if you're on lap 1 or 2, so fairly confusing and annoying level. That concludes D tier. Now moving on to C tier, which are levels that I find either boring or uninteresting. Starting off C tier, in at number 33 on our list, is Falcon Flight, and this revolves around the asteroid fields and the Star Destroyers. Mostly you're just destroying TIE Fighters, and then Star Destroyers, and then asteroids using torpedoes. So, really not too interesting if I'm honest. In at 32 is episode 6, chapter 3, Speeder Showdown. This is a level that is split into multiple different segments, with the speeder bike chase between Luke and Leia connecting them. The whole main idea of the first segment of the level is that there is a gate that is protected by 4 beacons that you have to destroy using ATSTs. In order for the ATSTs to spawn, you have to get on the speeders and destroy some scout troopers. Now this part takes a while, as these scout troopers don't just die in one hit, you have to shoot them multiple times. Once you've defeated the specified number of scout troopers, you will stop and get off the speeders. You'll then have to build an ATST, shoot the beacon, get back on the speeders, do the entire speeder bike chase again with more scout troopers, get off again, build an ATST, shoot the beacon, and repeat that 4 times for the gate to lower. When you're on the speeder, it can be a bit confusing, as the game will automatically stop you once you've destroyed the scout troopers. However, the area you go across on the speeders is the actual level itself, and you keep going past the beacons, and I remember finding that very confusing, as all of the areas of the beacons look basically identical. That said, once you've loaded the gate, you then get to fight an AT-AT, and actually pilot it, which is quite cool. However, overall I think this level is quite annoying and repetitive. In at 31 is episode 3, chapter 5, Ruin of the Jedi. This level I don't enjoy, simply because it's just kind of boring, in my opinion. You play as Obi-Wan and Yoda, and you have to just go for the Jedi Temple, which there isn't really a whole lot there. You get to see the disguised clones though, which is quite cool, from the deleted episode 3 scenes, but other than that, it's not too special. You've got some platforming at the end, and you get to see the hologram of Anakin being Palpatine's apprentice, but yeah, that's it basically. In at 30 is Bounty Hunter Pursuit. This is a very long vehicle level, which starts off with you chasing Zam Wessel around. You'll then eventually come to the purple electric power couplings that Obi-Wan and Anakin go through, where you'll be met with some torpedoes that you have to shoot at some things. I don't actually know what these are. Either way, you have to destroy them to progress the level. You end up getting in these small enclosed areas a few times, and then there's a simple boss fight at the end of the level, which isn't too difficult. It's just kind of, you fly around and shoot Zam Wessel. In at 29 is episode 6, chapter 1, Jabba's Palace. This is an extremely long level, It has got the Rancor boss fight at the end though, which is pretty cool. You play as Leia in the boost disguise, where you have to keep picking up the bounty hunter helmet. There's a helmet dispenser in some areas, where you have to obviously use that to become boost to activate bounty hunter panels. This can get slightly irritating, honestly, because the Gamorrean guards keep hitting you, and if they hit you while you're in the animation of putting the helmet on, it will just knock the helmet off you, and then you have to go and pull the lever again. So that's something to be careful of. Adding on to that, you've got a load of going around in Jabba's palace, and like I said earlier, the Rancor boss fight, which is honestly quite cool. You have to dispense some Gamorreans and sacrifice them to the Rancor, which will then make him sit and eat them. And whilst he's eating them, you can then pull some rocks down to damage him. You do this twice, and then he'll walk underneath the actual big door, and you crush him using it to end the level. In at 28 is Episode 4, Chapter 5, Death Star Escape. The first part of this level is a puzzle section where you have to swim across a gap to allow a speeder to come out of the floor, to then go over the coloured lights on the floor to release a bridge that you have to get up to by pushing a block into a block, and then using a winder to push the block to make it go upwards, to then get a Stormtrooper helmet, to then access a panel to go through a door. And as a child, I found this part really annoying and confusing. You've also got a bit later on in the level, a large room full of Stormtroopers where you have to build a door. The issue of this is that if you get shot whilst building the door, you stop building and have to restart building, which just takes a long time. And then you've got the ending part where you have to free the Millennium Falcon from captivity, which involves doing a couple of different puzzles, playing as C-3PO and R2, and driving another one of those yellow, weird cargo vehicle things around. So that rounds out C tier. Now moving on to B tier, which are levels that I don't really mind playing. They're not levels I dislike, however they're not levels I get super excited to play either. They're just kind of levels that are there. Starting with number 27 on our list, Episode 5, Chapter 4, Dagobah. This is the level where Luke is getting his training from Yoda. This is also where R2-D2 can go underwater, and you have his little periscope eye come up out of the surface, which is actually not used in any other level. So, interesting mechanic, unique mechanic. Same with Yoda being able to ride on Luke, holding onto his backpack. That's also exclusive to this level. Mechanics aside though, you've got the main area with the swamp, and you've also got the cave where you have to fight Darth Vader, which is a pretty short boss fight, but at the same time, a cool idea, actually having to fight Darth Vader to show the vision. You've got a couple of challenges using the Force, and the differences between Luke and Yoda being able to use the Force. Then you've got the part at the end with the X-Wing. Coming in at 26 is Episode 1, Chapter 5, Retake Feed. Is a lengthy level. You get Padme and Anakin Skywalker boy, young Anakin. Once again, nothing too special I don't think, in my opinion. It's just kind of a level that's there. In at 25 is Episode 4, Chapter 4, Rescue the Princess. This is the level where you play as Luke and Han Solo in Stormtrooper disguise, and you have to run around the Death Star to find Princess Leia. It's a medium-sized level. I've got a quarter of an hour it took me, and there isn't really a whole lot to it, if I'm honest. In at 24 is Episode 5 Chapter 1 is a vehicle level, and it is the Battle of Hoth. It's a fairly lengthy vehicle level, where you've got to attach the tow cables around the legs of the AT-ATs. The level also utilises the towing mechanic from Gunship Cavalry, which just is annoying. This time you have to carefully tow the bombs along some fairly thin platforms, and obviously if you miss, the bomb will explode, meaning you have to go back and get another one, which isn't fun at all. The final section is a fairly ginormous battle involving AT-ATs, AT-STs and probe droids, and it's just destroying a specified amount of each of them. In at 23 is Episode 5, Chapter 6, Betrayal over Bespin. This one is another fairly lengthy level, quite long, and you have a Boba Fett boss fight where he actually runs away on 1 HP, and you never finish the boss fight because he escapes in Slave 1 carrying Han Solo and Carbonite. After that, however, you just got the rest of the level where you traverse around Cloud City. You have to build C-3PO and fix him. You then have to walk around more corridors, use R2 a bit, go outside, get back inside, pull some levers, and then you have to find a fight with the Millennium Falcon, where you just have to sit there and shoot some Stormtroopers for a while, and then the ramp will open and you escape and end the level. Honestly, not too exciting. It's a fairly boring level, just a lot of walking around. In at 22 is Episode 4, Chapter 3, Mos Eisley. It's a nice level. It's got a lot of character and personality to it because you're going through Mos Eisley. You've got the Luke's land speed at the start, which is actually needed to get a minikit. You have to drive it through a door in free play. As for story mode, however, you play as Obi-Wan, Luke, C-3PO, R2, and then you get Han Solo and Chewbacca at the end. You get to go in the cantina, you got the cantina music, and then you've got the Imperial Spy boss fight, which is in the docking bay of the Millennium Falcon. although the stormtroopers will fall down and you shoot them, and then you shoot the Imperial Spy. You've also got the G-Back, which I really enjoy riding because you can skip most of the level if you ride the G-Back. You can just jump over part of the wall, which will stop you having to wear a stormtrooper helmet, go up an elevator, and a few other things. In at 21 is Episode 1, Chapter 3, Escape from Naboo. This once again is a fairly generic level, nothing too special here. You play as Queen Amidala and Captain Panaka, and you have to reunite with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and fight your way out of feed to escape Naboo. Once again, not really too special here, just kind of a level that exists. In at 20 is Episode 6, Chapter 4, is the Battle of Endor. This is quite a nice level, it's kind of long, but one I actually enjoy. You start off in the Ewok village, and you have to make your way down to the surface of Endor, down past all the trees. Once you're down on the surface, you have to do a couple of puzzles involving R2 and C-3PO, and choosing the correct characters to be able to open 2 gates, so you kind of have to alternate between 3PO and R2. Once the gates open, you then get to use a catapult, an Ewok catapult, to destroy a gate, to then finally get into the bunker. Once you're in the bunker, you've got a couple of puzzles to do, to then be able to actually plant the bombs and end the level. Fairly interesting level, considering you get to start in the Ewok village, you then get to pilot an AT-ST, use a catapult, and then you have to do the things in the bunker. In at 19 is Episode 4, Chapter 1, Secret Plans. This is the level where you play as Princess Leia and Captain Antilles aboard the Tantive 4, trying to obviously get the Death Star plans down to Tatooine in R2-D2. This is a pretty good level. It's got several memes as well in it. It's got the Rebel Friend and the Beach Troopers at the end in the hot tub. That said, other than that, you've got the crane, which is quite fun. However, yeah, there isn't really a whole lot there other than those things I've mentioned. So, in at 18 is Episode 6, Chapter 2, The Great Pit of Carcoon. This is once again a lengthy level, however I actually like it, I enjoy it, it's fun. It starts off with a Boba Fett boss fight, where you just have to deflect shots back at him. You then have to move some skiffs into position, jump over them, do some more jumps, enter inside of Jabba's sail barge. Some Gamorreans will be there. You build a disco panel, and they will start dancing. They will use their axes as guitars, which is pretty funny. Then you go up to the main deck and have to do some small challenges to push some ginormous targets into position. And when I say ginormous, these ones are absolutely massive, these targets. To then go up to the actual cannon, shoot the cannon, and finish the level. There's something satisfying about using the cannon to shoot the targets. I don't know what it is, but the cannon just feels really good to use. So I'll put this level in B tier because it's a long level, but one I actually quite like. In at 17 is Episode 3, Chapter 4, Defense of Kashyyyk. This is a fairly lengthy level, it's quite long. You play as Yoda and Chewbacca, and it's also when Order 66 happens. So you're fighting both clones and droids, which is pretty interesting. But as for interesting, that is about it. Because you're playing as Yoda, you're basically forced to have your lightsaber out, because Yoda is incredibly slow without it. There's this fairly irritating section in the middle, where the droids and the clones are coming up the beach towards you, and you have to lower a gate to get to the next area. Once you've got past the gate, however, the rest of the level is fairly simple. You've got an area with falling droids, while they fall out of the sky. You can just avoid them by walking past them. You've got an area with an AT-RT, some boulders, and then you've got the final area with Yoda's pod. In at 16 is Episode 4, Chapter 6, Rebel Attack. This is the trench one, where you blow up the Death Star. Fairly nice level. You've got some shooting of TIE fighters to do at the start, and blowing up some gates to actually get into the trench before you actually blow up the Death Star itself using a torpedo. Not too special though, sadly, even though it's a fun level. In at 15 is Episode 6, Chapter 6, Into the Death Star. This level involves blowing up the second Death Star. The level starts out in space, where you have to use torpedoes to destroy Star Destroyers. Once they're all taken care of, then you go into the second Death Star and see all of the unfinished sections. You then enter the reactor room, where you have to blow it up using torpedoes, and you then have a section after that where you have to escape it, and you see fire behind you and everything being blown up, and you simply fly to the Death Star too. Quite interesting, and for a vehicle level, not bad at all. In at 14 is Episode 5, Chapter 2, Echo Base. This is a very nice level, very atmospheric, and I like the music. You start off in Echo Base having to build some heating to melt the ice covering the doors. After melting the ice in front of the doors, you then come to a section where you have to use a turret to destroy a gate. You then have to send a train-like object to explode the door to get C-3PO. Once you've gotten C-3PO, the next area is all about him. You need to push some blocks into some specific sections on the floor to make some fans work. Once the fans are working, you put C-3PO on top of the fans. He will get launched into the air, so you can then put him on the top of a vehicle. The point of doing this is to allow him to get to an area that he can't actually normally get to, because C-3PO can't jump, so you have to put him on the vehicle, use the vehicle to push him onto an area to unlock a door to progress the level. Where you've then got a slide, which is actually quite fun. You've got a sliding challenge where you go down the slide and have to hit some of the red buttons to turn them green to progress the level. And finally you end up in the hangar, where you have to, obviously, throw the Millennium Falcon again to escape Echo Base. In at 13 is Episode 2, Chapter 3, Droid Factory. This level is of average length, where you play as Anakin and Padme, and you have to dodge all of the droid machines trying to kill you and crush you. I like the atmosphere of the level, where you've got the generations at the start all hiding away, trying to surprise you and ambush you, using all the droid machines, and some big bits of lava towards the end of the level. Wouldn't really say it's anything too special though. In at 12 is Episode 1, Chapter 2, Invasion of Naboo. The level where you unlock Jar Jar Binks, who can double jump, which is quite cool. When you spawn in, you've also got a load of droids and Gungans running around back and forth, and you've got an MTT that's destroyed, which you have to blow up to progress the level. There's this kind of swamp area with some nice water effects. On to A tier now. A tier levels are levels that I really enjoy playing, and every time I go and replay the game, I am likely to pick one of these levels to go and replay. Starting off A tier is Episode 2, Chapter 4, Jedi Battle. This one to me has always been a really fun level, because there's loads of droids that you can just kind of destroy, and if you run around using the Jedi Slam, I find that to be really satisfying. The actual objective is to rescue Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan. You play as Mace Windu, and you've also got a Jango Fett boss fight at the end, where, similar to the last one, you just have to block his shots, and that is about it. Fun level though, I like it. In at 10 is Episode 2, Chapter 2, Discovery on Kamino. I've always thought Kamino in Star Wars games is always done really well. You've got the rain and the storm and all of the atmosphere. I always find that in games they do a really good job capturing that. Either way, that said, you play as Obi-Wan Kenobi and R4, and you have to go around the halls of Kamino. You then get the cutscene where you see all of the clones getting ready to be shipped off into battle, and then you go into the room with Jango Fett and Boba, where you realise that Jango Fett is actually a bounty hunter. There's a small chase segment where you follow him around Kamino for a bit, and then you have a boss fight at the end where you have to deflect his shots back at him using the lightsaber. Overall, a really enjoyable level. I like it a lot. In at 9 is Episode 2, Chapter 6, Count Dooku. You get to play as Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda. There's a small platforming section at the start where you have to press some buttons and pull some levers to actually get into the part where you fight Count Dooku. As for the boss fight itself, Count Dooku will use his Force Lightning to zap one of the players. You will then have to switch to the second player to hit him in the back with your lightsaber. There's then a bit of forcing, similar to the Darth Maul boss fight where he will throw objects at you. You just have to force him away. And then the part with Yoda, where Yoda comes in, and it's just some use of the Jedi Slam ability to finish off Count Dooku. In at 8 is Episode 3, Chapter 2, Chancellor in Peril, and it's the level where you rescue Palpatine. The level starts off with some just platforming and destroying droids, and then you get into another Count Dooku boss fight. This is similar to the last one where he will use his lightning to zap one of the players, meaning you have to switch to the second one to hit him in the back. I remember as a child, for whatever reason, I just couldn't actually figure out how to overcome this. I got stuck on this constantly. The game didn't actually make it too clear, however, it's kind of confusing thinking about that now, considering I just finished the Episode 2 boss fight with Count Dooku, so I'm not entirely sure I was thinking there as a 10-year-old. Either way, once you've rescued Palpatine and defeated Count Dooku, you've then got the elevator section, where the elevator will drop down and try and crush you, because you're obviously in the elevator shaft, which is pretty exhilarating, seeing the elevator and the fire behind it. And then you've got a simple section where you have to switch to R2-D2 to overcome some challenges, and then beat some Magna Guards, and then the level ends. In at 7 is Episode 1, Chapter 1, Negotiations. This is the first level in the entire game, and you have to play it to unlock any other level. I think it's a very nice level. It is obviously the first part of Episode 1, the first scene, where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon land on the droid control ship. It's a very nostalgic level, because like I said, it's the first level you play, and also because it's the dancing chairs at the start. There are these chairs at the start of the level where you can use the Force on them, and they will start dancing around and playing the Cantina song, which I think 99% of players will have done. The level in a way serves as a kind of tutorial, because you've got lightsabers and you've also got droid control panels that only droids can interact with, so it gets you familiar with some of the basic mechanics of the game. In at 6 is Episode 3, Chapter 1, The Battle of Coruscant. This is a really fun vehicle level. I find it very satisfying because it's mostly on rails, so you're forced into going in the direction the game wants you to go, which may sound bad. However, if you just sit there and hold the fire button, it is insanely satisfying, seeing all the studs just go up your counter. In at 5 is Episode 5, Chapter 5, Cloud City Trap. This is the level where Luke and Darth Vader fight. This is a nice boss fight, split into multiple segments. You've got the first area in the carbon freezing chamber, where you have to use R2 to activate a panel to make the carbon freezing jets hit Darth Vader when he stands over them. You've then got to use a crane to get R2 across to a different area to activate a panel to activate a bridge so that Luke can cross. You've then got some platforming outside before returning inside for another fight with Darth Vader. Once again, similar mechanic, use R2 to activate some jets of steam to hit Vader and damage him. He will then run away and go into the viewport room, the room with the ginormous viewport out the back, where you have to play as Luke to use the Force to throw objects back at Vader. Works similar to the Darth Maul boss fight, honestly. You've got some stormtroopers there as well that you have to deflect the shots back at, and then you can fight Vader, and then he'll jump out the window. You've got some platforming, and then another simple just lightsaber fight, so obviously utilising your Jedi Slam attack to get that done quickly. Then you've got the cutscene where Vader pulls up the photo of Anakin and Padme and points to it, which is honestly quite nice storytelling, considering there's no dialogue spoken. And well, that concludes A tier. Moving on to S tier now, our final tier of the video. S tier levels are levels that I enjoy a lot, and the levels that I often find myself going back and replaying. There aren't many here, and they're all boss fights. However, I do find these levels really, really fun. Starting off with episode 3, chapter 3, General Grievous. This is the General Grievous boss fight level, and it is a very fun boss fight. You start on the massive platform as Obi-Wan and Cody, and you just have to keep hitting Grievous over and over again. He'll then try and run away and jump to some different higher ground, and every time you keep hitting him, he'll just go back down to the massive platform and repeat that a couple times. I like it though, it's a very fun boss fight. Next up is episode 6, chapter 5, Jedi Destiny, the level where you have to defeat Palpatine. This is an amazing level, I really, really like it. I like everything about this level. First of all, you get to play as Luke and Darth Vader. The game gives you Vader for free after completing the level. You've then got a Palpatine boss fight of multiple different sections, where he will run around the throne room of the Death Star, and he'll use lightning, and he'll electrocute some floor panels that you have to carefully move over and traverse to not get electrocuted yourself. He'll do this a couple of times before returning to the center and engaging you in lightsaber combat. The amount of HP he has, the amount of hearts he's got, I remember as a kid loading up the level before having to go to bed and just being in awe, almost in shock of how much health he has. Once you beat the level, you also get quite an emotional cutscene, where once again no words are spoken, because early LEGO games didn't have dialogue, they had mumbling. However, you can see the emotion on Luke and Vader's faces as Vader passes away, but I think TT did a good job in the cutscene, showing enough emotion and just making quite a sad moment without any dialogue being spoken. In Act 2 is Episode 1 Chapter 6 Darth Maul is the first boss fight in the game, and a very good one at that. The level is split into multiple different segments. You've got the first part of the bridge where there's some droids shooting at you, and you have to destroy the droids, then use the Force to throw objects back at Darth Maul. You do this 3 times, and then he will run away, and you can use the Force to build the bridge to chase after him. The second level is a simple chase segment, where you have to do some platforming to keep up with Maul and follow him. You've then got the large expansive area with the plasma beams that come down from the ceiling. There are 2 droid commanders at either end of the level that spawn droids from the ceiling, and you have to take out the commanders, the droids, and then 2 droidicas to progress the level. Then you've got the final area with the shafts that Darth Maul falls down. It's a fairly simple boss fight, just a few Jedi Slam attacks and doing something similar to the start with the Force, where you throw objects back at him and he will die. But a very fun boss fight nonetheless. And finally, my favourite level in the entire game is Episode 3 Chapter 6, Darth Vader. This is the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight. It starts off with some honestly quite challenging parkour, especially if you're playing as a friend who doesn't know the parkour that well, because as soon as you die, it will reset and you go back to the start. So you keep doing that until you eventually finish it. You've then got a small timed section where you have to prop up some pillars and move some pillars out of the way of the door to progress the level. You've then got some more platforming, and then you've got the best part of the entire level, which is the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight itself. Because if you're playing with a friend, you actually get to fight your friend, you fight the second player, and depending on who you're playing as in the story mode, you get a slightly different cutscene as well, which is really interesting and a unique idea. And that is it, all 36 levels ranked. I'll put the tier list on screen now so you can have a look at the entire thing. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you have any changes you'd make to it personally. I'm sure there will be a few different opinions on levels. And well, yeah, thank you all so much for watching. It's been quite a long video this one, so I appreciate your time. I will see you all later. Goodbye.